Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the Pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by XCancer. Check them out at XCancer.com. So I was all set to go to the Nebraska spring game today. Had sideline passes. We were going to chat with people before and after the game. But with some of the things going on with the heart rate, I tend to get excited talking about Nebraska football. You may have noticed in the past. So I decided to stay home, be smart, keep that heart rate down. All right, but this is my gut reaction to the most analyzed practice of the Nebraska football year. This gut reaction to the Nebraska spring football game. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. I took a bunch of notes, okay, and they're scattered all over the place. Just as the game was going on, I have not organized them in any way, shape, or form. So that's how I'm going to talk about things. It's a gut reaction. Things tend to be a little bit scattered. But tune in next week for the Carriker Chronicles. All right, I will officially rewatch the film and break down the offense, defense, and special teams. But here are my initial thoughts, my gut reaction to Nebraska spring football game. All right, it was offense versus defense. I like that format in the aspect of it gave us one offense versus one defense, two offense versus two defense. As I said before, never been a fan of ones versus twos. I even played in a game where it was ones and twos versus threes and fours. Didn't really like that. So that was a good thing. It was thud the first half of the game. The second half of the game, when they took out most of the starters, played the young guys, it was tackle. I'm just going to say it again. I don't like it. I don't like that. I understand it. Still don't like it. If you want to be a physical football team, you can't be scared of hitting people in the spring. All right. And I understand you want to get out. You want to be healthy. I understand Mark Whipple. That's an NFL mindset. It's worked for him for years. I completely understand, respect, get all that. Still don't like it. Let's tackle and hit people, be physical. I shall know move on. All right. Garrett Nelson. Guy's always played with his hair on fire, has an incredible motor. All right. He's now got an much improved fundamentals and technique. He's still a growing and developing guy who's only going to get better, played really well today. Brant Banks at left tackle had a rough time trying to block him. Nelson had multiple sacks today. All right, Logan Smothers. All right, Casey Thompson started the game. He appears to be the starting quarterback at this point in time for Nebraska. I don't think that's a shock to anybody. All right, he was 3 of 4 passing, I believe, for 31 yards. He looks like he's still processing things. He spent a lot of time on the sideline talking to Whipple, as well as Frost at times, mostly Whipple. He looks like he's processing, but he looks like he's in good command of the offense. Like he looks like a leader out there. Okay, and he's only going to improve and get better and better as the season gets closer. All right, Logan Smothers came in as a second quarterback to play in the game. I don't know if that means he's second string. I thought Chubba Purdy looked good. He had some Purdy passes at times. I think some people were surprised because he's been limited this spring, but Chubba Purdy looked pretty good. Logan Smothers is a guy I'm just a huge fan of. He hasn't transferred. He ain't gone nowhere. They've changed the offense. There's all million transfers that have come into the quarterback room, and he's still out there battling. I'm just rooting for that guy. He's got top-end speed, looked pretty good at some of the things that he did. All right, the defense, they got some sacks today. They got pressure on the quarterbacks. The offensive line did not pass block well. We have some guys that are out. Turner Corcoran's out. Teddy Prohaska's out. Those guys are banged up with some injuries. Okay, but we look like we may have 4 different guys, and I'll get to them here in a minute. I already talked about Garrett Nelson, who could get after the quarterback this year. All right. When one side of the ball has success, that means the other side's struggling and vice versa. That's how it goes in practices and or games like this. Tommy Hill, an Arizona State transfer, looks like he's going to be a contributor in our return game. Couldn't really gauge much with the return games today, but he was back there for the first few punt returns, so he looks like he's going to be back there. All right, Anthony Grant, he's a guy who's going to be an explosive playmaker. He almost always makes the first guy miss. He's not the most well-rounded back we have, because that's probably Ramir Johnson when it comes to running with the ball, catching the ball, picking up blitzes, and all that stuff. Those are probably our top 2 backs at the moment, with Jacques Yant maybe coming in third. That is a guy that is not built for two-hand touch football, I might add. So he was, kind of behind the 8 ball today just because he's a physical back. Can't be physical in two-hand touch. But Anthony Grant looks explosive, had a great 60-yard touchdown run. Okay, Ramir Johnson's probably our best all-around, most complete back, so to speak. When you look, Brian Buschini, I'm excited for this guy. He's going to be a great addition to the team. He was a bit up and down. Results varied a little bit today for Mr. Buschini. Now, he's a guy I fully believe he's going to be a good punter for us come the season. His first punt was 63 yards. Great reaction from the crowd. Then it was 29, 32, 14, and 62 yards his first 5 punts. And at one point, he had an average of 42 yards per punt. So a bit up and down. I expect him to be more consistent come the season. All right, talked about some of those pass rushers. Caleb Tanner, that quickness that he developed towards the end of the year, it's back. He looked good today. All right, Blaze Gunnerson looked good at times. Jamari Butler, who's a freshman, he had several great speed rush moves and then turned it to power. Okay, and I hate to call a guy out, but, the film don't lie. Ezra Miller got knocked back on that particular rush when Jamari got to the quarterback. All right, the D-line. Getting after the quarterback, we looked good. Stopping the run, high pad level, which meant the offensive line had low pad level. We were getting after the quarterback. They weren't blocking so well. I'm speaking from a former D-lineman's perspective. You know what I mean? Defensively, the defensive line's pads got high at times, which means the O-line's pads were a little bit lower. Hard to truly test the run game when you're not tackling in the first half, but that's just what I saw. Nash Hutmaker was knocking a lot of people back at the nose guard position. I mean, he is a strong dude. All right, field goals. Okay, Chase Contreras, he made one early on, then he missed a field goal, then we had a missed extra point. That's not good, obviously. Okay, you'll look at the first 10 possessions for the offense. They only had 6 first downs, and I know Scott Frost said they were keeping it simple and blasé and things of that nature. I said blasé, he said simple. And I get all that. That's what you do in a spring game. Okay, but had you watched the first 14 practices, you would have said, wow, the offense is way ahead of the defense. But right now, in the game today, the defense was clearly ahead of the offense. But I'll come back to the summations of the offense, defense, and special teams here in a minute. Okay, let me see what else I got here. Heinrich Harburg appears to be the 4th quarterback. Nothing says, hey, kid, go in and get banged up like you don't get the green jersey. I still think that guy's got a ton of potential. Do not sleep on him. Matt Masker came in and played as well, a guy I'm also a big fan of. All right, so most of the starters played the first half. So a lot of this is about the first half. The second half was a lot of the younger guys when they went live. Okay. Now, 3 biggest takeaways. Offense didn't really look exactly crisp today. I know they were keeping it simple. Looked a little bit less certain and definitely had less energy than the defense. I think that's what kind of bothered me, was just less energy on the offensive side of the ball. It's early on. The defense is often ahead of the offense. Nothing is new. Defensive players are just always better than offensive players. It's just the truth. Defense is better than offense. All right. Special teams wise, it was kind of more of the same, if I'm being honest. I was excited to see what we could do special teams wise, and then missed extra point. And Bruchini is going to be a great punter, but inconsistent in the punt game. Couldn't really gauge the return game because, dud for most of the game. Just the struggles with the kicking game. Hopefully we can get those things cleaned up over the summer and in fall camp as well. The defense looked crisp. They looked focused, energetic. Potentially 4 pass rushers have emerged. Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner, Jamari Butler, and Blaze Gunnerson. Nash Hutmacher, sorry about that. The mispronunciation of the name, knocking people back. Definitely things we got to get better at. But exciting things for the defense. Obviously, they've got to continue to get better because this is not a true gauge. It's just a small test along the way. Offense, special teams, now they know what they need to focus on going forward. Until next time, Husker Nation, go big red and always remember, throw the bones. This show is brought to you by XCancer. Join the fight at XCancerStore.com and support your loved ones, your neighbors, and cancer fighters all over the world and help them gain access to revolutionary treatments. XCancerStore.com has a wide variety of t-shirts and merchandise supporting a wide variety of cancer battles so you can show off the colors that matter. Proceeds from each purchase not only help those at home, but also cancer fighters in Tanzania, Africa. Check them out at XCancerStore.com.